that can potentially avert that. And I think it was just a great thing to see in general.
I've got a really interesting perspective on this because I'm myself an art collector and also NFT artist with my own collections. So I will be a director, directly affected by this. I think all this responsibility lands on the artist. I think artists and creators have gotten away with the bare minimum, being the laziest sacks of shit, honestly, ever, delivering zero utility, zero benefits, zero anything, not even reaching out to the collectors, no nothing, expecting their amazing art to be enough. And I'm like, look, that's fine. But when something like this happens, don't be upset that you haven't created a community and a brand around, or you haven't created a community and a following and a love between your collectors and people who are fans of you and supporters of you. If you have done the work and built your brand and shown that you care about them, they're going to have no problem giving you a cut of their royalties. They're not going to go out of their way to make it so that they're going to give you 0%. And if they do, that's fine. I believe that is within the power of the creator and the artist, and they should be making more of an effort to make a community, because of all the artists that I've collaborated with, I think it's a small percentage who have put in a little bit of effort to make a community. The rest have listed their NFTs. Great. They post things on Twitter every now and then nothing else. And I just think it's lazy. I mean, it's fine, but it's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're going to do that and you're going to complain about the royalties, when the royalties, in my opinion, are direct add-on because of the brand you've built, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it.
Kate, I disagree so much. I'll tell you why. I think like you speaking about a different thing, like the same thing, but like a lower priced art thing, support the artist. Maybe you're right there, but if you think like let's just take the biggest, Bored Ape Yacht Club has got a massive, very strong community.
Well, it's a PFP collection. I'm talking about artists and creators.
Okay, no, fine. No, I agreed. But I'm just saying, like, if you just think about it, and the most traded NFT on X2Y2 without royalties is Bored Ape Yacht Club. Why? Because they can save the most amount.
Sure.
2.5 or 5% of 100 ETH is 5 Ethereum or 2.5 Ethereum. It makes a big difference. So I think, like we were saying previously with regards to everyone being self-serving, that's effectively what we're saying. And most people, as sad as it sounds, so to here, if a guy's got the potential to save 1, 2, 3 Ethereum, there's no loyalty to anyone, no matter what you do and no matter how strong. So here we are, we're saying, one of the use cases for blockchain technology and NFTs is finally that artists can get their fair share, whether that be visual artists who paint or draw, or whether that be singers who have been screwed over forever with downloads and there's no way to track it. This is a technology for you. And now we're coming and we're saying, despite you in your initial thing saying that you want a 2% royalty, knowing at the time that there was no way to get around that because you could only sell through OpenSea, and OpenSea 100% keeps to that. Now to have that taken away when you felt you were protected with this technology to get finally your small 2% on your product, I don't think it's good for the space in general, and I think putting that responsibility on the consumer is not a fair ask, because when it comes to high value stuff, they're going to say, look, it's 5 Ethereum.
Oh, no, I agree with you here. I just think that because this happened and because it's on the table now, there's no world where we don't move in that direction. We are going to move in that direction. We're going to go into whatever is cheaper for everybody. I'm just saying.
I don't agree. I don't think it's going that way. No.
Oh, so you don't think it's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
No. I think what's going to happen is sort of what we're seeing. I think you're going to have some marketplaces fighting back, and I think you're going to have a lot of collections fighting back. So all it takes to, let's just use Yuga as an example. The next whatever, they're launching staking of the Ape coin. If you are a holder of a Bored Ape, you can stake it and earn tokens on it. If you're an Ape coin holder, you can stake it in certain ways. All they need to do, so we're launching staking. Anyone who is purchased without royalties is not eligible. That will solve the problem overnight. Everyone, I'll pay my. So that and they're going to do that, because in the end of the day, here they're delivering endless value, and they are one collection that has up to date delivered endless value. And here these guys are saying, "F you, I'm not paying my 2%." I have no doubt, like zero, and I don't know anything for a fact. I don't talk to the Bored Ape Yacht Club flooded. I'd love to. They're welcome on the show anytime. I've got no doubt they in their next big thing, they're going to do a big and good for them, rightfully so. Those
If
are
that's
the
the way it
terms
goes,
of
that's a good
service.
point. Good point.
Those are the terms of our service. At the time we launched, it was 2.5%. No one else could get around that. Now technology's allowed people to get around that, and you guys who have made a fortune are doing it. Fuck you. You're not getting our next utility, and good for them. Because how
But you
does a
saw how
project?
you saw how the responsibility lands on the Bored Ape Yacht Club team though.
Yes.
My point there is that because this is on the table now, it's up to the creators, it's up to the artists, whoever is in charge of the
Yeah,
collection to
but
make
your
it.
little artist with 100 things can't do a big fu. It doesn't have the
But
same effect.
it doesn't have to be a fuck you in a community of artists and one collectors. It's a different mentality. You're not in a flipping mentality. You're not looking to save a buck here and a buck there. When you're in the perspective of a collector, at least from my perspective, when I'm looking at it, I'm scrolling their page and I'm saying, okay, the floor is whatever it is, 0.3 ETH or whatever. That's the price. I'm just like, okay, it costs 0.3 ETH to become one of his collectors or her collectors. That's the only thought goes to my head. There's no, can I save this? Can I do this? It's like, no, 0.3 is the price. That's the price I'm going to pay to own the NFT. And I think that's the mentality of most collectors in the art space. I might be wrong, but I think that's the right space. And either way, regardless if it is or isn't, I still think that it's up to the creator and the artist to create a community if that's their goal. If their goal is to have their art mean a lot, have a lot of value and intrinsic value and, weight in the NFT art scene or whatever, it's up to you to make that happen. You can't just put your art there and say it's special. No one cares if it's special. It's special if you put it out there and you get people to care about it. Then it's special. But if you don't put in the work to create that community and the value, I don't think it'll hold that value. That's just my thoughts on it.
Art is one thing that doesn't have to have community or utility. You like this beautiful picture that I did,
but now it does.
A fish. You like this beautiful picture that I did of a fish, the derivative from a collection we won't name, right? And you want to buy it and you want to put it on your wall. That's the end of the utility. Let's move away from art. Let's just say like music. Music was a big draw to NFTs, that every time that song is played, a percentage can be in the smart contract put aside, and every time it's traded, and that to some degree falls away. And I think long term we're hurting Web3 more than gaining by having these pseudo swaps and similar things which allow you to work around. And I think it negates their technology if there's ways to work around something as fundamental as the royalty systems. And I think the answer actually is to somehow, and I don't understand technically why it can't be in the smart contracts. I don't. But there must be a way. Someone must fucking just put it in the smart contract. That's it. Going forward, every collection's royalty somehow, I don't know why they haven't. There is a reason. I don't know why, but there's got to be, we've put people on the moon. I mean, there's a way to freaking put a 2.5% royalty in the smart contracts.
No, I agree. It should be. We should not go into this zero royalty. I don't want it to go to zero royalties. My point was that if we end up, and that becomes like a main thing, a big player, big factor, then the responsibility has no choice but to fall on the artist and the creator to create some kind of community. But I don't want it to. Like, for clarity, I want it to stay how it is. I'd much rather just get my royalty and not have to worry about it. But we'll see what happens. I can't believe it's not, by the way. Same with you. I'm in the same boat with you.
I think possibly the thinking was, listen, there's only OpenSea, they're going to pay us. This way it allows us to tweak it and change it. Percentage-wise, we'll notify the community. We might reduce it, we might increase it, we don't know. This way it allows us to change it. Maybe that was the thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you wouldn't try to create a community in Web 2, but that's the difference. It's not Web 2. It is Web 3. We are in Web 3, which is all about the creators, all about the community. That's what Web 3 is. That's the whole point. Like, that's why it's different.
If you said to me, let's say I see a really nice NFT that I just like the art. I don't know the artist. I like the look of it. I want to have a one of one and I want to put it on my wall. If you said to me, in order to buy this and really get value, you have to join a Discord and sit there and talk to people. Fuck it, no. I really just like it. I want to put it on my freaking wall.
And I want to see that, though. You want to have seen that the artist is putting in the effort, though. Because otherwise, if it's a random person,
I just like the art. No.
How often do you say that, though? You just like the art enough to pay 1 ETH for it, though? Like,
but that's all these collections mooning at the moment. Art is really flying. Like 40 ETH for Damien Hirst and 90 ETH for Fidenza. people like the art. They want to blow it up massive,
If you're
put it in their mansion.
if you're at the top, if you're at the very, very top, you don't need to worry. I still think if they did put in the effort, they would moon even more. If Beeple made his own thing and it was even more of a thing than it is now, which he is doing a great job, but if he did even more, I think the value would go up. I think for the 99.9% of artists who are down here at the bottom with no influence, no following, no one's going to buy their art. They have no choice but to put their responsibility on themselves, because they're not going to get to Beeple's level or some of these artists you're talking about, because they just like, I don't know what the factors are that get to the top, but most people don't get to the top, so they have to put in the extra work. Like, my art's never going to be at the level of Beeple unless I get to a Gary Vee level of status. Then my art, because it's not a collectible, it's not a thing you buy to trade and flip, it's just an art piece to have that's made by me. That's the only way I'm going to get to the top.
Yours is a ticket into your ecosystem and buying into your future. So yes, people do need to know about you, and people do need to have an interest in you, pictures of you and your journey. Yeah. So I completely get where you're coming from. And like from your vantage point, I agree. Yours is a ticket into Kate's ecosystem and everything Kate does in the future.
I just think it should be. I think every artist project should be. I guess in my head, the way I'm doing it, I just think that I'm pioneering the way it should be done.
Obviously it's not. There's many different ways to do it, and there's many different reasons that people buy NFTs. So your community, yes, they really believe in you long term. They want to have a piece of that pie with you and be a part of that journey, and they buy your NFT, which happens to be a beautiful picture and art piece. Great, but I wouldn't classify that as the same as what I'm referring to art, and that's maybe the disconnect that's
and
coming.
I'm saying
there, right?
In 20 years, I think my project's gonna be worth more than theirs because of the effort I'm putting in. So I think I'm right.
Yeah, possibly. I'm not even joking. No, I understand, because whereas my 20 ETH picture behind me, imaginary one of dots, is starting up here, but there's absolutely no change. Yours is starting down here, and slowly your brand increases and whatever, and that becomes more valuable. So long term, with this not moving, and you, even if you move slowly, you moving in 20, 30 years, yes, it may be fine. But I'm saying the type of person that's buying your thing, that's what they're buying into.
Sure.
Whereas the type of person that's buying the art is not thinking about anything. They don't want to know. They don't want to sit there and have coffee with Damien Hirst, or maybe they do, but that's not the reason they're buying it. They don't get any of his future. They really like him. They like the art, and that's it.
In the beginning, when my first collectors, when I first dropped my project, were exactly that, right? And they're also the same people who flipped my art pieces for like 0.03 ETH profit to sell into all the people who believe in me now, who 90% of them are diamond holders since the very first day. And I think the level of collector I have now is 10,000 times more deep and more of a thing than it was before, with all the random collectors who didn't know who I was, don't care. Some of them still have my NFT, and it's somewhere hidden in their wallet they forgot about 9 months ago when they bought it. And I'm telling you that those collectors are they're not gonna hold. Like, they're not gonna know the value of it. They're not gonna care about the value of it. And that's why I think if you're not gonna be Damien Hirst or something like people, which is not gonna be anyone, pretty much just gonna be 99.9% of people, if that's not you, and it's probably not, then in my opinion, you have to do something extra if you want your art to not go to zero. Your art will eventually go to zero unless you're a top artist. So I know I agree
with that point 100%. 100%. When you're starting at the bottom, you can't just rely on your picture being an amazing picture, because you don't have the name behind it. And unless you work hard and put consistent effort to build something to make that valuable, it won't be. So
everyone's good. Everyone's pretty good, and everyone's art is really good. So it's just like, if everyone's art is pretty good, then like, what's going to stick out? It's probably going to be the effort you put into your brand. But
unless you are one of those well-established top tiers.